Hi there, this is Justin Krane, certified financial planner professional and founder of Krane Financial Solutions. Welcome to Money You Got This. So how can you really live? How? By uniting your business money, your personal money with your life and your business. Word up.
Krane Financial is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only, and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products.
Hey everyone, welcome to Money You Got This. This show is brought to you by Krane Financial Solutions. I'm Justin Krane. I'm a certified financial planner professional. I tried saying that 10 times really fast this morning and I got nowhere quick. Anyways, we offer investment management services and financial planning for entrepreneurs. I'm also the author of the book, Money You Got This.
I'm psyched you're listening to the show. I want to give you this free report, 3 things multimillionaires do to grow their wealth. Just go to coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. That's coolmoneyshow.com to grab it. Thanks.
Today, we have an interesting guest. I think he started gobs of businesses, done lots of cool stuff. He's in EO, which I'm in. I found him on EO. His name is Dave Will. Dave, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Justin. Justin, why did you try saying, why would you say that 10 times this morning? Like, where would that ever come? Were you in the shower and you're just like,
yes. Yeah, I was showering, practicing for the podcast, and I'm like, I got to get this right. It's a 10 times like tongue twister.
This is not your first time.
It's not your first rodeo.
I've listened to your podcast. This is not your first one.
That's right. All right. Anyways, guys, let me tell you a little bit about Dave. He worked for a big software company by the name of SAP. He was kind of entrepreneurial and a big thinker in there, tried to do a lot of cool stuff. And his boss was like, you got to do it the corporate way.
I think there's a little poetic license already in your story, but go on. Tell me more about my big thinking.
Yeah. And Dave was like, I got to bail at some point in time. He finally did. He started a media company, learning management, which we'll get into. And he sold that. And then he built another company called Prop Fuel, which is like a conversational engagement platform for membership-based organizations and companies that can use, we'll call it technology automation to better engage their customers, clients.
Well done. That's good.
You like that?
Did you see, now this isn't this podcast, Lil, that's okay. GPT just came out a couple months ago, and Google came out like Wednesday this week with their version called Bard, and it completely flubbed when it gives some incorrect information about the Hubble telescope. But I just want to use the intro to this podcast to show that even Bard is more accurate than you right now.
Wow.
You nailed all the facts. It's just the ad-libbing in between, like the big thinker part. I like how you said I left the industry when I actually got fired from my job. So
it doesn't matter. You left.
You're not even as good as Bard, and Google's stock went down 7% because of that day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You did leave. Now maybe you got let go, but you know what?
I did leave.
You left
after I was told to leave. I did what I was told.
We're going with that. So so I have my first question for you is, what is going on with all these paddles behind you? Like, what is all of that about?
So for those listeners, because I'm a listener, not a viewer, for those listeners, so what you see behind me is a completely curated collection of stuff because I'm in Zoom all the time. This is even before COVID. And so I remember looking at my background thinking that's really boring. And so I put these license plate up. I put a little skeleton. I put the Prop Fuel like football jersey behind me. I got a little boat flag. I got a plant. I even put a plant up in my
window. Is that a real plant? It's on the window. It's got to be real.
It was a gift from the Plant Whisperer. That's another story. Now the paddles are, they're cool, but B, it's something I'm also quite passionate about, which is just water stuff. And the one on top there was a paddle, a stand-up paddleboard paddle that was gifted to me from my employees in my last company. Got a couple canoe paddles from my childhood and a couple oars from beat up boats in the past. Yeah, that's what's going on behind me. Oh, you
Nice.
want to see
Yeah.
something, Justin? This is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. So what I'm showing Justin right now is an antique cash register. And this antique cash register is my inspiration every morning. I come in and I see that cash register, which belonged to my grandmother, who in I want to say maybe
1704.
I'm not that old, brother. So it was like mid 1900s, like 50s, or so on that. Her husband passed, and he died pretty young. I don't know what the deal was with life insurance. She needed to make some money. She started a health food shop in the 50s or 60s. She started a health food shop.
Wow.
And at first, so that was the first taste of entrepreneurship before I even knew what entrepreneurship was going to visit my grandmother in the 70s in her health food shop in Mount Vernon, New York. So yeah, that's what makes up the stuff behind me. Also, the advice I was given to walk fast and smile less by my manager
Yeah.
at SAP. I got the
Yeah.
antithesis right here
Yeah.
over my
Yeah.
shoulder. It says walk
I love
slow,
it.
smile more.
Let me see a good smile. Wow. Guys,
Yeah.
Dave has like, I think 112 teeth that I'm seeing right now. So very nice.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. So let's I want to go to Prop Fuel because I think what you're doing there is super cool. Can you just like, what is this? Is it email? I think it's email, but is it SMS? Is it AI? Like, what is the software that you're giving these membership organizations to better connect with their members and customers and whatnot?
Well, I just proposed to my partner this morning that we change the name to something with AI in it because it'll increase our valuation
Yeah,
tenfold.
exactly.
But of course, facetiously.
Yeah.
So we're brainstorming that and buying domains. You did a great job, I think, of describing what it is. It's a communication system designed to automate the process of engaging large constituencies better. That was a mouthful. Holy
Yeah.
mackerel.
So how do you automate something that you want to be real and human and make people feel like there's a human element to it? Because the people listening to this show, they're entrepreneurs, they have employees, they have customers, they want to scale and grow, and they're looking for systems to do it, but they don't want to eliminate that human element of connection and communication and growth and inspiration. So how do you do that?
Yeah. So first of all, to answer your original question, it's primarily email. Yeah. But there's
Okay.
SMS. We're building a web tool, but
Yeah.
it's the bigger picture is it's a way of communicating with people where they are, whether that's on their phone or over email. It just happens that the vast majority of business people do email, right? So we can't ignore that. So
Yeah.
that's how we're communicating with people the vast majority of the time. To answer the question you just asked is like, how do we make it human? First, we start by understanding how people engage. And how when you see a friend or at the grocery store, you run into somebody at a cocktail party or at an EO event or whatever, the way communication happens is you'll typically walk up to somebody and there might be a little prompt like, oh my God, you look great. And then it's followed by a question. Almost always. Hey, where you been? What you been up to? How's your business? Have you lost weight? How'd you lose weight? Like there's some question that you're going to ask to spark conversation. To dumb it way down, the question people ask when they can't think of anything else is, hey, what's up? Right? Like that's a question. And so that's the philosophy we take. That's really what begins this more human approach to engagement, as opposed to the way most of us engage people through email and even SMS is we send stuff. We talk at them. We send stuff at them. We assume we know what they want by sending them stuff, when in reality, we should start by asking them what's important to them. What do they want? Why are they here? Some question that sparks this dialogue. Now, a lot of that dialogue can be automated.
Yeah.
But the real human element, let's forget about the human approach of asking, capturing, and acting. That's the human approach to conversation. Forget about that. The real human interaction comes when you take 1,000 or 2,000 or 100,000 people. You ask a question, you let it go through the automated process, and what spits out the other end is a handful of people that actually need human interaction. But now what you're doing is you're taking 100,000 and narrowing it down to the group of people that really need people interaction. That's when you pick up the phone, you go visit them, you send them a direct email with actual human interaction. So that's how we're pulling the human out of automation. First, we're doing a better job at mimicking the way humans interact. And then we're doing a better job at letting humans do what humans should do, which is actually talking to people.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is you guys are doing some like a big filter on top or funnel, and then just kind of getting it down into the people that are responding, and then there's more of a human connection with that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a hierarchy of
yeah.
human touch, right? We
So
start with the automated stuff and we go to the real human stuff.
okay, so I am not a technology ninja. I can make a very, very good red sauce and a good cup of espresso. And I
Yeah.
want to predicate that with these tech questions that I'm about to ask you, because
Sure.
and everyone's got to be thinking this. Well, aren't there email autoresponder campaigns that I could create that could just do that? What are you guys doing? Or is that what it is?
So
Like,
what first of all, what kind of pasta do you prefer with your red sauce?
oh, I like a penne, and I
Yeah.
do, you know, a good garlic. And I buy the San Marzano tomatoes. We put those in, put a little basil, and we let that cook for like an hour or two. Let the tomatoes soak in, the basil, the olive oil, the garlic, of course, salt and pepper. And we let that simmer for an hour or two. Then we're cooking the pasta. We're going al dente. And then, or as my wife says, al dente. And then we put it all together and we cook the pasta a little bit more in with the sauce. And for the people that like love the butter, we'll add that in. If they don't like that, forget that.
Who doesn't like
And
butter?
we're done. Yeah,
First of all, kick the people out that don't like the butter.
that's right.
Second is, have you ever tried the cream sauce to make it a little more vodka?
Yes, but we're on Weight Watchers, so we go
Oh,
no
that's
no
tough.
cream. We do no butter. We do olive oil, and then of course we have it. We pair it with a. This is my wine mic here. We
All
pair
right.
it with a good red.
All right, stop distracting me with all your talk about red sauce and wine.
Yeah.
All right, let's get so to answer this question is can I just do this with HubSpot, or can I just do this with some other email system? The reality is most marketing automation systems, and believe me, this we could go into a long dialogue about the details at the feature level. I'm not going to go there, but generally speaking, these systems, marketing automation systems, were designed to talk to people, to tell people things. PropFuel is designed to do quite the opposite. It's designed to listen, right? So based on what it hears, it is then taking action. So the email with the question it's like, yeah, that's innovative in the way that people can put a question directly in an email, they can answer it. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And easy to build in PropFuel, but the real red sauce is in the output. It's in, based on how they answer, which collection of actions is that going to trigger? Right. So so therefore, in order to actually perform, it's got to listen first, and it's that listening component that's unique about PropFuel. Nobody, I don't know any other system that has taken this concept of the survey, married it to the concept of the marketing automation, and put it together. And that's what we've done. And that's all we do. It's all we do. So the people that use PropFuel, they also use HubSpot. They also use Pardot or MailChimp or Constant. They are also using their broadcast system. This is a niche system designed to listen better to your customers, to get to know your customers better, to know their needs.
So can we talk about listening for a little bit?
Yeah, I struggle with that, by the way. Are you a good listener?
What'd you say?
Are you?
I got you.
I see what you did there. That was good.
No, I think I think people want to feel heard. And I come back to empathy, which it's so important. I just think it's uber important to make people feel like you're listening to them and you feel what they're feeling. And I think, my own opinion is like, you want to run a successful business, if you can lead with empathy and just give that client the experience the whole way, you're going to have a long-term client and a great lifetime value customer and all of that kind of stuff. So, and even with employees, even with your kids or your spouse or your friends, I think it's so important that that we bring that in. And I'm just curious what you think about that and how you're bringing that into running your business.
Well, of course I subscribe to it. That's I can honestly say, in all sincerity, I struggle. That's something I've always needed to improve, is my listening skills.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot those of us that fall in that category of the people that like to talk, it's you can't talk and listen at the same time. So that's I like to talk. I think the way I think is not internally, I think externally. And therefore, when things come out of my mouth, it's easier for me to process them that way. So you ask me a question, I'll usually talk through it to get to the answer, like I'm doing right now. Having said that, I understand the fundamentals and the value of listening, and the platform that we've built was based on that concept of letting the other guy talk for a minute. You know, letting your customer talk, because when they talk, you can learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
like
for
a
sure.
lot. And that's called zero party data. There's, of course, everybody's heard of third party data. There's second party, first party. There's like all the, but third party data is what everybody knows about. It's like that data you buy or you get from someone else.
Yeah.
Zero party data, that's what we're getting right here and now.
Mm-hmm.
Justin, like asking somebody a question and them giving it to you, that's called zero party data. And so that's, to me, that's listening. And when you're actually getting zero party data, that's listening. We're just applying technology to listen better at a mass level. Because when you have like Air Force Association is a client of ours. It's now Air and Space Force Association. And they've got 104,000 members in that association. You can't call 104,000 people.
Sure.
So you need a way to automate this process. So is it perfect? Of course not, right? Like it's still an email.
Sure.
But it's listening.
I want to come back to this point of one of the struggles that you have as just a guy.
One of them? It's going to be a little while to pick one out.
A lot of paddles and oars behind you. Just pick any of those up. Is you're talking about listening and talking things through, like listening, and the business that you're running is a listening business. So I believe that there is a higher power that's setting this up for you to grow and embrace something that doesn't come naturally to you, but it's like your thing. It's like it's your purpose, it's your passion, it's your direction. And how interesting is it that you've created a business based on asking questions and listening, and it's something that you want to get better at. And I think you will. I think if I have you on in like 3 years, you're going to look like Yoda. You're going to be all tricked out with your listening skills.
I'm getting closer and closer every day. That's for sure.
Awesome. Let's just go with Air Force for a minute, because a lot of people that listen are the owners of their businesses, and they forget that even though they might have a person that's in charge of sales, that they still have to make some rain and bring in business. So how do you have this product, right? And you have your own experience in running Peach New Media, and you've done Boy Scouts, like you've done the whole thing, right?
Oh yeah, huge fan of Boy Scouts. So I got 3 Eagle Scouts that I gave birth to.
Amazing.
Yeah, what the giving birth part? It's pretty amazing. I've tell you, I notified my kids many a time in their upbringing that their mother and I give birth to them.
I love it.
It always gets a little pause, but then they accept it. Good. Understand. Anyway, go on. Yes.
Yeah. So, what I'm just curious on is the path to landing a client with 104,000 employees. The proposal,
members,
the connection,
members.
That's right. Yeah, members.
Yeah, members. So that's like their customers.
Yeah. No, I understand that. So, you don't just call up the Air Force and Space Organization, right, and be like, "Hey, we have this. Will you buy it?"
You do.
No, but they don't say yes right away. There's a presentation, there's communication, there's back and forth, there's pricing and all of that.
Yeah.
So can you talk us through either how you got them, or how how did it all go down? And what kind of advice can you give entrepreneurs about either how you got them or and how they could apply it? Like when you go after a big thing,
Yep.
big pot, right? A big pot of red sauce. How do you get it?
So you're asking what's our sales process? I mean, the sales and marketing maybe, and that, well, that's how I'm going to answer it, whether that's what you're
Well,
asking.
I want to also ask it from you're running this business,
Yeah.
right? And you might do some sales, but you're also running a business, you're married, you've got kids, and you want to, continue to do outdoor adventures in the water and all of that. Like, how did you do it all and get this client? What was your role? What was your mindset in doing this? How did you work with your team? And how did all of that go down?
Oh, that's a great question. I just hired the right people.
Okay.
That's it.
Let's expand on that.
I literally could leave the company probably for 6 months or longer, maybe ever.
Okay.
I don't want to admit that, but ever.
Yeah.
And it'd be fine. The business would be fine without me. I'd like to think I contribute a lot to the business, but it is the things I contribute are not critical to the day-to-day operations, including sales. Now, my job in the sales process is to be a bit of an evangelist in the space that we play in, right?
Okay.
So I do a lot of speaking engagements. I talk to people in the sales process when it would be valuable to have the CEO and founder come in and talk to them, but not always. In fact, not even often. So the way we land Salesforce and every one of our other clients, for the most part for us, is a combination of outbound activity and inbound activity. So we send them an email, we call them, we first get a list from all kinds of places, and we do our research to figure out who our target audience is, our ideal client profile, IDP, I mean. And wait, I'm sorry, I totally messed up that acronym. ICP, ideal client. I wasn't an academic.
Dave, we all CP. Everybody pees, everybody poops, everybody has an ideal client profile.
And ICP too.
That's right.
So we get our ideal client profile, and then we reach out to them, or we drop hooks in the water all around them. So the hooks are the inbound, the emails and the phone calls are the outbound. And it varies. Sometimes inbound drives more activity than outbound. Other times outbound drives the activity. Like this quarter, for instance, for some reason, inbound is slow, but outbound is high. So that's how we're getting the names, and then we go through the sales process of the demo and stuff. So it is quite mechanical, and in the approach is we do pick up the phone and call the Air Force and Space Association. It is not the Air Force; it's the Air Force and Space Association, which is it's a nonprofit with a staff. It's just like a business, they run a business just like any other business. And associations, where we spend a lot of our energy, tend to be like small businesses for the most part.
Yeah. Okay. So many questions that I want to get to.
I got all day. This is an 18-hour podcast.
Oh yeah. By the way, it's 3 a.m. right now. Everyone listening, Dave and I have been on since yesterday, and I'm just starting.
Editing. So you're doing some serious
massive editing. And his plant is still alive, by the way, during this whole podcast.
I had to take a water break to water the plants.
Yeah. Hiring great people. So what comes to mind there is, I only have X thousand, 100,000, whatever the number is, to hire it. I can't hire the best people. They're so expensive. Oh, maybe I'll do it myself. Or, how do you, so this is, a show about money, life, and business. So the money aspect of it, how do you I don't know, let's just say you're a 7-figure business owner. You got like 3 people working for you, and you need to hire this next person to do whatever, right? Really good people. And it's 200 grand. So how do you do that? Do you just save up the money and do it that way? Do you get a loan? Do you, make a personal investment? Like, what's the path that you've seen, or that you've done in order to hire that next person? How have you done that?
So, what's really interesting is to me, it's interesting, at least. Yesterday I spoke to a local high school, a group of business kids in a club at a local high school, and talked to them about starting a business and what it was like,
Mm-hmm.
and tell them the journey and hearing about their interests and so on. And one of them asked the same question. He said, so how do you hire people? Like, when do you hire people, and where do you get the money to hire people? So I've taken two paths to this answer. My first company, which ultimately became Peach New Media, was all grassroots. It was self-funded. It started as a service business and evolved into a software company. And it was just me for a year. And then I hired an admin because I had enough money to hire an admin. I didn't like it because every dollar I paid her was $1 off of our kitchen table.
Sure.
And that was hard, but I knew if I did that, it would allow me to grow the business a little, so I could afford to hire an admin. And then I kept doing everything, switching my hats throughout the day: sales, execution, operations, vision, all that stuff. And then eventually I got to the point where I could no longer sell because I was too busy executing, delivering. And I found I predicted sales were going to slow if I wasn't spending much time on sales. And so I did the math and figured out I had enough money at this point. I was going to take a cut, big cut, but I could hire the salesman. Now, it just so happens that salesman I hired in 2005 is the same salesman that is running my sales team here at PropFuel now. It's Ryan Graham. He's a good guy.
All right, so go to 2005 for a sec. So you hire the salesman, you take a pay cut. So on your personal,
significant, yeah.
Okay, so on your personal
Again,
side,
every dollar I pay him,
no,
one less dollar I get as the entrepreneur. Yep.
Yes. So how did that pencil out? Were you married at the time?
Yeah.
Was your wife working?
All right, so let me take you back a little bit. The day I got fired from my job, which you so eloquently said I left, it was nice. I got fired. This is 2001. I got fired. I think it was in I don't know. I get fired. I forget when I got fired exactly, but my wife, we had already had a baby, so it must have been after June of I don't know when it was. Regardless, somewhere in around that time. And I remember getting fired. I went to the pier in Boston to get the ferry ride home. And I remember calling my wife on my Nokia, whatever phone. I think it was in the Matrix. No, it wasn't a flip. It was like the tall one.
The little one. Yeah. Okay.
So I called my wife on this Nokia, and the minute I heard her voice and I could hear Zach, who's now 22, I could hear him in our arms cooing in our new house where we had a mortgage that we couldn't afford, and she's not working, and I just lost my job. And I burst into tears. And it was that moment in my life, sincerely, it was that moment that I realized that I was an adult, right? Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not, by no means is this me complaining. I've lived a privileged life. I had a fantastic upbringing, and there's people I could turn to for help if I need it too. Not everybody has that. But at this point, I realized that I was really going to have to figure out a plan for how we continue to move forward. So that's what I was feeling.
Take me to 2005 though, when you hire the salesperson and you have that pay cut. So how did you deal with your personal finances?
Debt. Credit card debt. We had 60 grand in credit card debt at one point. I think
you did the credit card route.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And eventually we got it paid off. Because what happened is the business kept growing, especially in the sales. You want to hear something funny? So the sales guy, Ryan, came on, and I put together a package with him, never having hired a salesperson before. I put together a package with him. He was agreeable to it. It didn't seem excessive. All of a sudden, the end of the year comes, and I owe him like a ridiculous amount of money. I'm like, dude, I talked about this with you. Like, I don't know how this is going to play out. Well, let me tell you how it played out. I can't afford to pay you based on the compensation package that we designed. Now, I had already baked this in, saying, let's see how this goes. We might have to adjust things. So I ended up giving him equity at that point, and I never thought that would actually amount to anything. And he ended up making a fair sum of money when we sold the business because of that arrangement.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. So credit card debt, which ultimately we did pay down, but that was scary and that was a difficult time. Now, the second approach is what we're doing with PropFuel. Now, at this point, I'd already sold a business, so we've got a nice I would argue, life-changing amount of money in the
Mm-hmm.
bank, which was
Mm-hmm.
nice. So now starting Prop Fuel is less about making money and it's more about uh, wanting to do it again, to prove
Yeah, yeah,
I'm a
yeah,
real entrepreneur, right? To
yeah.
prove that this wasn't just a fluke. Like any blind squirrel can find a nut.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure that I was really good at finding the nut. So my partner and I, who also came from Peach, his name's Cameron, we're yin and yang, perfect partners. So he was the technical resource, and I'm more of the extroverted resource
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the team here. Um, right off the bat, I put 300K into the business to
Mm-hmm.
cover expenses. Neither one of us was going to take a salary for year one.
Mm-hmm.
Year two, he needed the salary, so we started paying him. I didn't get paid till year four, right?
Wow.
So like that
And
was
you were only 5 years old at the time, right?
yeah, personally, yeah. So year four, I start to get paid, and again, it was really about it was such an awesome feeling to get to the point where like I can finally pay myself again.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, what we did at that point, shortly after that, is we raised $1 million, friends and family, which helped us hire people to build the company faster.
Got it. You
So at
could
this
have
point
just
now we're
cash
one.
flowed it, right? You could have done it that way. You could have
No,
just.
not as it. So this is faster when you can raise money and
Oh no, I
hire people
understand that.
way faster. But
I
yeah,
no,
we could
I
have cash
understand that.
flowed it.
You could have cash flowed it and kept the equity versus raising, right? And done it that way.
That was the first business, right? That's
Yeah.
Peach Media. That's what I
Yeah.
did. It took 14 years to get to
Yeah.
the point where we sold it.
Yeah.
This business, the expectation is if we're still running this in 14 years, it better be with private equity behind us. Like this should cut our timeline down in half, I would say.
Got it.
That's the expectation.
Got it.
And probably quadruple the valuation realistically. Like that's no exaggeration. It's not pie in the sky. The expectation is that my best guess is we'll do this in half the time. We'll quadruple the sale amount.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Thank you.
I want to.
It hasn't happened, by the way. So thank you for
No,
having faith in me. But this is the plan.
I have faith in you.
Thank
With
you.
all of the license plates behind you, the ores, the plant.
Justin, it's 60 degrees on this February day here in Boston, Massachusetts. Why are you wearing a North Face jacket?
So I'm in my office, and this office is always cold. It's always cold. It's got to be like 45. I got the heat on, and I'm going to put on my bib and blanket and snuggles in a minute.
You want to hear something really cool? Speaking of cold,
Sure.
so you see, I'm wearing a Hawaiian flannel here right now.
Yeah.
Right,
Yes,
that's
I
the
see
difference
that.
right now. You're wearing North Face ski jacket. I'm wearing a Hawaiian flannel. This Hawaiian flannel, I'm very proud of my son. He built a business. Can I plug his business?
Go for it.
TheKonabrand.com. Kona is our
Nice.
dog. He's a
Okay.
rescue dog, and so he designed these flannels with the big vision of finding a home for every dog. Right, and so
Wow.
now he's got these 5 designs. They're long sleeve Hawaiian flannels. They're awesome.
Oh,
They're
cool.
awesome. So anyway, I'm very proud. He's graduating UConn in May, and he's gonna take this business to see
That
where he
is
can
so
bring it
cool.
in next year. Isn't that fun?
That's it. You must
And
be
I didn't
really
give him a
proud.
dime. He
Oh,
raised
really?
money through college grants. He's self-funding this. So we'll
Wow.
see how far he can get without actually.
Wow.
I'm not averse to contributing
Yeah, but
and doing it,
I
but
think
I haven't had to yet.
I've had other guests on in fact, I just had someone on the last one where her kids started a business as well. And I think that as parents, we model for our kids. They see what we do. We don't have to really say, do this, do that, whatever, but they see what we do and we're their role models. And as they see us grow and succeed, they obviously want to be their own person, but they want to kind of achieve what we do. And why not do it when you have parents who are mentors that are, can help you along the way? So that's super
And our
cool.
kids always want daddy's approval, right? Like that's just the nature of life. Like we always want daddy's approval.
I wish I had that, Dave, with my dad.
How'd that tell me about that?
My dad was a little bit more critical. he was an entrepreneur, but he was like, he was the inside guy. He was a radiologist, and he had a partner who was the outside guy. The partner was the business guy, the expanding guy, and my dad ran the medical part. So yes, he was an entrepreneur, but he wasn't the type of guy that would teach me, hey, do these 3 things, think about this, you can do it, like motivating, inspiring, and all of that. And I try and do that with my kids. In fact, 2 days ago was 2 days ago, it was 15 years since I left UBS where I worked. 15 years. And then I literally remember that day that I left to go start my own business, and I was freaking out. My dad was alive at the time, but like, he wasn't connected with me, and I didn't feel that sense of, you can do it. Like, maybe
How
you're
old were
doing
you? That was 15.
15 years ago. So I'm 50, so it's 35. You know,
Yeah.
my kids are 20 and 18 and 16 now. So, you know, they were much younger. But it was, I did it. I had to do it. It was no choice. I just was like, I'm done. I want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I didn't have that father figure to say, or even a group, a mastermind, a bunch of people to be like, you got this, you can do it. And
So let me ask you a question about your father. Just out of curiosity, did he change diapers?
No.
You don't know? Yeah, my
No.
my dad. So I think when our parents were raising us, it was not common for the man to change diapers. My dad did
Yeah.
all the time. Like he was actively. Now you and I, we change our
Yeah,
kids' diapers all the time. Like
of
it's just
course.
expected. Probably
Yeah.
as many as our wives.
Yeah.
Now, what about your dad? Did he was he expressive with his words? Did he tell you he loved you? Did he give you
Yeah,
hugs?
he did. He
Yeah.
did, but he wasn't as deep and I would say attuned to me. I mean, that's starting with the
Yeah.
empathy at the start of the show. Yeah. So he wasn't, but over time, I think he learned to do more of it. But when you take someone that doesn't come from this stuff and you just tell them to do it, it's like a muscle. You cannot run a marathon on connection right away. It takes time.
It's a generation thing, man. They're the
Yeah.
silent generation. Nobody's ever heard of the silent generation for exactly that reason. Like they're the
Yeah.
ones that were born into the parents that lived through the Great Depression, the two
Hmm.
world wars, right?
Yeah.
So their parents, our grandparents,
Hmm.
taught them to stay in line, don't rock the boat, do as you're
Yeah.
told, and don't go too far out of those lines because that's where the danger lies. Like just
Yeah.
stay in your lane,
Yeah.
man. Which is the
Exactly.
opposite of what you have to do as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. So I want to just ask this last question about what drives a good organization. Good is a weird word, like growth, and it's an inspiring a growth organization, a successful one. Because I read a few of your blog posts and listened to a few of your other podcasts that you've been on, and I'm going to put 3 questions into one just based
Okay.
on time. So you've written and talked about culture. You've written and talked about good marketing campaigns, and you've done the same with executing ideas. So in any business. So talk to us about like how you're trying to deliver that to your customers through Prop Fuel, and how you've done that in Prop Fuel, like in this business. So enjoying the journey, developing a good culture, thinking about what your marketing campaigns are and executing on them. So I'm just curious, when you're sitting down with the Air and Space Museum, which is not who you're working with. I said that jokingly.
Association. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But how do you? It's almost like you're kind of you're talking to them about like, these are the things that you need to be concerned about, and this is how we can help you. So I'm curious what the messaging is on that, and how you even apply it to running your own business.
All right. So you ask a vague question. I mean, you're gonna get a vague answer,
That's fine.
but here is the here's how I'd like to answer that one. I think the strength of a company and all the processes and all the approaches and the messaging and everything you do stems from harnessing your unique ability, right?
Mm.
And I think that's true with anyone.
Strategic Coach. You and Strategic Coach. Do you know
I am
Strategic
not
Coach?
in it, but I'm a huge Dan Sullivan fan.
Yeah.
I had him on
Yeah.
my podcast. My
Yeah.
podcast, EO360, by the way.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the Entrepreneurs
Okay.
Organization podcast. But I had
Yeah.
Dan Sullivan on that
Yeah.
podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan. And if I ever join a mastermind like that outside of EO again, it's going to be that one.
Yeah.
I'm just not there yet. I don't want to do it right now. I'm
Mhm,
too
mhm.
overcommitted. So having said that, though, it took me a long time, and I didn't call it my unique ability, but it took me a long time to acknowledge that I wasn't in an environment that allowed me to utilize my own strengths.
Okay.
So it started in school where I was doing what I was supposed to do, which is academia and read and take tests, and I sucked at it. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't academic in nature. Where I thrived was later in school when you could learn through conversation and dialogue and interaction with people. That's when I did better,
Mm-hmm.
and then later I go to work for someone again, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Nielsen, Kraft General Foods, and a smaller consulting firm called Akebia. And again, I have to follow these rules and follow the rubric to do the good job. And I struggled with that again. Like I wasn't doing a great job. Hence the advice from my manager to walk fast and smile less, because perception is reality. Like, do it this way and you will survive. And that's why I've adapted this walk slow, smile more mentality, or this mantra that I've brought with me to every business I've built and every employee that I engage, because that is where I thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And I can build a business and I can be the best possible version of myself when I create the rules that support how I succeed. Walk slow, smile more is just a summary of that world for me. Now, my job as a leader is to create an environment and to recruit the right people that thrive in this environment as well. So that's my job as a leader, to get, as they say, get the right people on the bus. I'm not a huge fan of that line, but that's what we're doing. And that's my job. Now, what follows from that is finding the right product market fit, finding the messaging, finding the customers, all the processes, all of that spews out of our ability to embrace our unique ability and be the best people we can in our jobs.
That's great. Well, Dave, it's been so much fun having you on. I hope everyone learned a lot from you. Where can we go to learn more about Prop Fuel? Is it just your site, propfuel.com?
Justin Krane, thank you for having me, brother. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can, anyone's welcome to email me at dave@propfuel.com. You can also find me, you can feel free to check out Prop Fuel. You can find me on LinkedIn, David Will, I think. Yeah.
Amazing.
So yeah, but email, LinkedIn, Prop Fuel, however you want to reach out.
Great. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was great to have you.
Thank you, brother.
All right.
Have a question? Want to get in touch with us? Need some help and advice with your finances? Just go to coolmoneyshow.com and reach out to us. That's coolmoneyshow.com.
Krane Financial Solutions is an SEC-registered investment advisor. However, such registration does not imply a certain level of skill or training, and no inference to the contrary should be made. A copy of our current written disclosure statement discussing our advisory services and fees is available upon request. Information contained herein is for informational and illustrative purposes only and general in nature. It should not be considered specific financial planning or investment advice, or a recommendation to buy or sell any type of securities or other investment products. No investment decision should be made based solely on any information provided herein. We do not provide legal, accounting, or tax services. We recommend that all investors seek out the services of competent professionals in any of the aforementioned areas. Certain information provided has been obtained from third-party sources that we believe reliable. However, it's not been independently verified and is not guaranteed.